Good afternoon, folks. 3 years ago, when I created my channel and decided to share my opinion, I couldn't even imagine that there would be such fierce competition in the world's largest car market. Car brands such as Skoda, Subaru, Mitsubishi, Renault, and Peugeot have simply disappeared from this market and lost about 30% of their global revenue. Well-known car brands such as Ford, Kia, Hyundai, and Citroën have already begun closing their dealerships across China, as they cannot compete with local cars. Luxury brands like Acura and Infiniti have shut down, as they are no longer interesting here. Honda, Nissan, Toyota, Volkswagen, German Trio, and Porsche are losing sales every month and offering huge discounts. For instance, the BMW 330, which sold for $55,000 3 years ago, is now being sold to a Chinese buyer for $27,000 through a bank. A Passat was $35,000, now it's $17,000. Camry, Accord, and different crossovers have all dropped in price. Sales of Chinese car brands are growing every month, but they are also suffering and are forced to sell their cars at lower prices because brands such as BYD are dumping everyone and initiating a price war. 3 years ago, the Chinese automotive giant Dongfeng launched its subsidiary Voyah and rolled out its first crossover model, the Voyah Free. At that time, its aggressive design, stretchable screens, fast acceleration, and air suspension surprised people from other countries, and it had fairly good export sales. However, the previous aggressive look didn't appeal to the Chinese customers, and other Chinese auto brands began offering more for the same price. Back then, they attempted to sell the top-of-the-line electric version for $55,000 and the hybrid for $50,000. This time, they aimed to provide more vehicle for less money and revamp the design both inside and out. Get comfortable. Let's take a look. We changed locations and fled into the shade. The heat was simply unbelievable. My camera even shut down because of the heat. So let's continue here. What we have: 476 horsepower, slightly less than before, 4.9 seconds to 100. You see, they looked at how gilevich.eng and Huawei are selling. Living here in southern China, I sometimes feel like I'm living in some kind of jungle, especially when summer comes. I live near a green mountain, and there are so many toads croaking that I can't even open the window. The nature here is simply incredible. When you start climbing mountains, there are signs saying, "Beware of snakes" at every turn. In summer, everything wakes up here, including the snakes. So they became slower. They saw how Huawei and gilevich.eng sell and realized that around 5 seconds for a family crossover is absolutely sufficient for the Chinese customers, but instead of acceleration, they decided to give it Huawei Autopilot. What is selling well today, selling very well and is in high demand, they have gone in that direction, which is the right decision, I believe, and should boost sales. So now they have the entire Huawei system inside, Huawei Autopilot, and, if I'm not mistaken, Huawei head-up display. I'll clarify this point later. 4.9 seconds to 100. It has a single-chamber air suspension. The front suspension is double wishbone, while the rear features a multi-link setup. Gas supports, soundproofing. We know that it's a 1.5 engine, but we don't know how many horsepower it has. Well, most likely, it will be just like gilevich.eng. It will be clear after the official presentation. And for the maximum configuration that I specified, they promised to ask for 260,000 yuan or less. That's what they told me. 260 or less. Roof rails are already included in the base model. Here's a small screen, if you can call it that. Exhibit would be happy. I would call it a starry sky. As you can see, the overall design of the face has been changed. They removed the large radiator grille, which now looks old-fashioned to Chinese consumers. Therefore, most buyers now prefer a more closed front design to make it look like a pure electric car. The handles remain the same. As far as I remember, there was no soft closer before. Now there is. What about here? Yes, and here. The interior trim in the Voyah used to lag behind its competitors at the same price point. This time, they've upgraded it. Now it's the level of Zeekr, Avatar, Huawei R7, for example. Not M9. Very good for the price. This is Alcantara, and everything here is also covered. There's even a piece mimicking wood, but I dislike the purple color. It doesn't look appealing. A white color would be better here. This dark wood, wood-like plastic, would be interesting with the white. It has double glazing and 22 speakers. They completely changed the design of the dashboard and got rid of the stretch screens. It looks better now. While the screens had a wow effect, they were not very practical in real use. Here is Alcantara. Here is artificial leather, the same as on the door cards. Better quality than before. The only thing is that I completely dislike the purple color. I would definitely choose another one, and it would look more interesting. 187 centimeters, and I have a fist in front of my knee. Someone taller than me would also fit here. No questions. The seat cushion is long and non-adjustable. Front, massage ventilation heating. Back, ventilation and heating. Yes, I like this design better than the previous one. Look, there's another piece of this material, wood-like plastic that goes to the doors. There is a camera here that monitors you while driving. And here is the interior camera. Look what they did. They copied Xiaomi, and now there are mounts for some gadgets on the left and right. That's interesting. Well, good job. Why not? Look at this nonsense. They brought me a car from another city for a test drive. I'm going to deflate the tires. And then we will test it. Now look. To activate this growl, known as Sport Plus, it is called something else here. You need to press 2 paddles simultaneously. The steering wheel becomes heavier, a bit sharper than in regular sport mode. I don't like how it roars. Well, I see. I need to change gears with the paddles. Well, yes, it becomes faster. I'm in second gear. If I shift to first, it'll growl more due to higher RPMs. Basically, they've designed a simulator for adults to have fun with. For big kids. I'll tell you later how it drives in all the other modes. Let's check for squeaks. There was something, but it's gone. Like a stone here. Somewhere. Something slightly, but I would give it a 4. There's a fridge here. Great. 2 wireless charging spots with ventilation. The material feels like microfiber here. A small storage compartment. 2 cup holders. The direction is adjusted with your hands, and the airflow is adjusted with your fingers like this. We can swipe like this, and it's a Huawei screen. There are different types of chips. Some screens work faster. The fastest screen I've seen is the Huawei screen in the Maxtro model. The image is like in all, excellent quality, really top. In terms of speed of the screen, it may not be the fastest. The Maestro is faster, but it's fine. No questions asked. You all know about this screen. English is available. I want to see. The camera, well, it's just okay. Not the best. Just okay. This screen has a fantastic picture too. The voice assistant is also Huawei. It is covered with fabric and is quite large. By the way, there is a metal hook here, but there is none on my side. And it's covered here too, which is great. And also underneath. There's hardly any plastic, only in the door panels inside and here. It's hard to believe, but they must have had to cut corners somewhere. But we can see that they saved money on the ceiling, using ordinary cloth. There is a sunshade that closes completely. Look, I sat down to my height, have a fist in front of my knee. Going to second row. and I have roughly almost 3/5 of space. This is a big car. Fist above my head. Very large range of backrest adjustment. The armrest is sad. So what's here? Yeah, and they covered it here. It's cool. But here it's just plastic. And under my left elbow, it's also covered with artificial leather. The materials are much improved. There is practically no bare plastic except here. And the thresholds. And there under the central console. There are 2 charging ports for rear passengers USB and USB-C. A small display for seat adjustments and climate control. The seat backs are made of the same material as the seats. Look, there's none on the left, but on the right side, there's a port to connect the Huawei screen. We purchase it at the store, either from Voyah or Huawei, and plug it in. It will connect to the system. We have a spacious trunk here. There are hooks, you can adjust the suspension, and there's a socket, 220 volts. There's a cigarette lighter. But there are no buttons to fold the seats. We fold them by our hands only. If I flip the headrest, then I fit completely. My head will be on the headrest, but if I want to lie lower, then my legs stick out. I don't fit. The wheels are 20 inches, and the caliper is red. 255 by 45, with the same wheels at the back. At the rear left, there's a 46 kilowatt battery, NMC from Cattle. Okay, who are its main rivals and how does it perform against them? The top version of the gilevich.eng L6 will cost $3,000 more and will lack air suspension. Clearance can't be adjusted there. Here the minimum is 11 centimeters and the maximum is 21. The gilevich.eng L6 has a smaller battery, 36 kilowatt hours, and in Sport Plus mode, the Voyah will be slightly sharper and more responsive. L6 handles bumps more comfortably, and the same L6 is slightly quieter in terms of noise insulation. It also has a massage function in the rear. In general, the situation is such that all car brands backed by large corporations are currently offering more than gilevich.eng. Next, the BYD Tan L Hybrid, in its top trim, is also slightly more expensive and does not have air suspension. It rides better on bumps, the same noise insulation, has a fancier interior, accelerates faster, has a drone on the roof, and 3 seating rows. There are some Leap motors that I haven't been following lately, but they are steadily increasing in sales. I should check them out. There are only single-drive versions there, I think. The Huawei M7, significantly more expensive. The Lynk & Co. 09, the same size, same price, 3 rows of seats, and similar acceleration. The engine generator is much stronger, but the autopilots and screens are worse. In other respects, the cars are quite similar. Oh, the new BMW X3 has gotten bigger, and the long version in China, after big discounts, fits right into this price category. But it has a McPherson suspension, a lot of plastic inside, slower acceleration, and it's gas-powered with delays and a weaker autopilot. Without a battery, you won't be able to power your camp outside the city, which is a downside. Noise insulation is roughly similar. The suspension of the long version is not particularly sharp. It will be a bit firmer in comfort compared to Huawei. At high speeds, it will likely handle better than the Huawei. Fuel consumption is about 8 in summer and 11 to 12 in winter. The regeneration here is weak. I don't like that, but I have no complaints about the brakes. The seats are generally comfortable. For $1,000, you can add a screen for the right-hand backrest, and there are no complaints about the rear row. I would soundproof the wheel arches here because noise insulation varies. I sometimes test 2 cars at the same road, and they show similar numbers but sound different. Sometimes it's quiet above, but below, the asphalt noise is audible. I think it should be quiet below, so I hear less of the asphalt and suspension noise. But here it's noisier in the lower part. The BYD L is quite the opposite. The floor is quieter. The gilevich.eng L6 has a certain balanced feel. The X3 too. In general, you need to soundproof the arches, but make sure that the weight is the same at the back and front. All right, that's it, friends. We are wrapping up. We test drive the car before the official presentation, so we will soon know the exact price. which I will post on Facebook. Thanks for listening, everyone. Stay safe and see you again.